This week, Vince shows us 4 new Milwaukee tools that he found in the world of concrete.
Rob digs deep into the all-new line of Nuron Tools from the Hilti event.
The Torque Test channel destroys a viewer's impact.
And we get to see both snowblowers and lawnmowers take on the snow.
This is your Power Tool Week in Review.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ohio Power Tool, Pro Tools, Pro Service at the best prices at ohiopowertool.com. And Ego, power beyond belief.
Welcome back, Power Tool fans. I'm Rob.
And I'm Sarah, and I'm anxious to get into the tool news. However, Rob, you should probably explain Jay's head to the group.
This thing right
everyone.
Here. Starting today, every week on the show, we're going to hide this photo of Jay's head somewhere in the episode. Now, this is just an example. This is not the one you're looking for, all right? It will be hidden and only show up for a second or two. That is Jay Amstutz from Ohio Power Tool. If you find Jay's head in the show, pause it, because you can make note of the timestamp and email it to us within the first 60 minutes of the show being live for a chance to win a $50 gift card.
Yep, so if you haven't turned on that bell notification icon, do it so you can have a shot of winning. Just grab the timestamp where you find Jay's head in this video and email it to first@coptool.com. Good luck! All right, now on to the news, where we first find Mark Thomas testing the all-new Milwaukee M18 Lawn Mower. Now, his review starts out as you'd expect with an unboxing, assembly, and review of a few features. However, Mark lives up in Michigan, where it's not exactly lawn mowing season. So he did what made the most sense to him and headed out into the snow. Not even the frozen tundra will keep Mark from mowing the yard. Mark can't actually get to the grass, but he uses the opportunity to show off the different features and gives us all a great look at what the LED lights do for those of us who mow in the dark. Yes, Rob mows in the dark.
I really do.
Once back inside, Mark finishes a very thorough review and even demonstrates exactly how quiet the new mower is. You can find the full Arctic review at MarkThomasBuilder.
I don't know why more people don't mow at night.
Because they can't see?
You can if you got LEDs on your lawnmower.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah, that's right.
You're right.
All right. Moving on. Back in October, a small group of tool-focused content creators were secretly whisked off to Switzerland for a private preview of a completely new line of 70 power tools called Nuron from Hilti. We were there as well, and we've already shared our thoughts on a previous video. But this week, Rob Robillard shared his. This rollout is a major endeavor for Hilti, and Rob goes out of his way to cover every aspect, targets every detail, and builds a great case for a new era of Hilti performance to match their now legendary longevity. This doesn't mean Nuron's going to be for everyone, however, and if you're wondering if it's for you, I suggest stopping over at Toolbox Buzz.
The Titans of Torque are back at the dyno this week, this time testing the most expensive compact stubby they've ever run across. This is the all-new Snap-on PT338, and it rings in at an eye-watering $500. To see if it's worth that many Eagle bucks, they decided to test it against their current compact champion, the Matco MT2765. And while the testing is the typical detailed and well-narrated battles we've grown to expect from TTC, this time they have a minor disaster that leaves one of the contestants in desperate need of emergency resuscitation. To find out if your brand comes out on top or if it's the one that explodes, head over to TorqueTestChannel.
Last week, Dave over at ManCaverTools decided to give the Ryobi Link system a second chance by trying out their toolboxes, and the man is clearly convinced. So much so that he decided to completely replace his pack-out collection with the new green boxes. Part of that conversion includes rebuilding an emergency roadside toolbox for his truck. Besides the first aid essentials, he includes a bunch of items I wouldn't have thought to keep in my vehicle. Utilizing the larger format of the Ryobi toolbox, he was even able to include a small Hilti impact wrench for quickly changing a tire. With all of this equipment, you'd actually be in a pretty good position to help others you find stranded as well. If you're not carrying your own emergency roadside kit, Dave thinks that Ryobi has the answer over at ManCaverTools.
Did you know that Clint over at Protoolreviews was a sound engineer in a past life?
Yep.
So who better take a detailed look at Jobsite Bluetooth speakers and radios and declare one of them to be the very best. Clint digs into the details of examples from Milwaukee, DeWalt, Bosch, and even a tiny little Makita speaker that can be daisy-chained up to 10 times to fill every corner of the job site with "We don't talk about Bruno." Every option runs their respective battery platforms and offer Bluetooth streaming, if not full radio. To find out which one sounds the best, head over to Pro Tool Reviews.
Vince headed over to Vegas a couple weeks ago for the annual World of Concrete convention, where he found Milwaukee with an abnormally large booth this year. Typically, we'd find Big Red in a tiny little booth on the inside, but this year, look at that layout. Vince got his hands on Milwaukee's two newly updated Gen 2 M18 Fuel SDS Plus rotary hammers in both 1-inch and 1 1/8 inch versions. He also was able to try the new M18 Fuel concrete pencil vibrator and the new MX Fuel briefcase concrete vibrator as well. Not something I would use every day, but you know, it's red, it says MX Fuel on the side, so I need one. Milwaukee is clearly taking concrete more seriously this year, and Vince has the story over at VCGConstruction.
Mark Thomas isn't the only one out in the snow this weekend, although he just might be the only one mowing. But Clint found a better tool to deal with the white stuff. This is Ryobi's all-new 40-volt HP brushless, self-propelled 2-stage snowblower. Clint previously showed off this new Winter Warrior back before he had any snow, but this time he had nearly 15 inches dropped on his driveway, which made the perfect testing ground for Ryobi's continued push into the upper end of OPE. Besides massive snow tossing power, the new 2-stage model also includes some desirable features like the oversized row of LEDs for those dark snowstorms and freaking heated grips. We have one here as well, and I used it to clear the huge driveway at Rob's house, and those heated grips are mwah, chef's kiss. Clint, of course, got to put it to use in much deeper snow than we got, and it did really well. The only weak link was the batteries. It needs 2 to run and comes with 4 that will automatically switch over as you work. The problem is the batteries don't last long enough for Clint, and the charger can only handle 2 at a time, taking an hour and a half to charge just one set. So to completely recharge the snowblower, you need 3 hours. Not ideal if you have a heavy storm. But overall, Clint seemed incredibly happy with the new Ryobi, and he has some tips for determining if it will work for you. To find those, head over to the Tool Review Zone.
You know, I don't know if we've ever really covered benchtop vices before, but after watching Red over at the Den of Tools, I was suddenly compelled to go buy one. Except that it's from Harbor Freight. But don't leave yet. Turns out it's actually a pretty good buy. This is a new line of cast iron vise and anvils from Doyle. So why is this a big deal? Well, the build quality turns out to be really good. There are several features that Jeff points out, but the biggest highlight is its price. As it turns out, it's pretty much a clone of a 6-inch bench and pipe vise from Wilton that sells for over $500. But the Doyle? $199. That's way closer to my bench vise budget.
You have a bench vise budget?
I'm not entirely sure of that. I just have to ask my wife. Either way, if you've been holding out for a high quality vise but wanted enough money left over to buy something to hold with it, this might be your chance. You can get the full story over at the Den of Tools.
All right, in case you missed it, last Saturday we had our very first production crew live giveaway where one lucky channel member got to choose one of 4 shelves, each loaded with over $2,000 worth of brand new power tools. And it was epic.
Yep, we called the winner live in the middle of the show and he answered. Then we got him to join into the stream so we could all see his face and then let him choose his prizes.
It was a lot of fun. However, it left us with an empty shelf for February.
It did. Fortunately for us, we just happen to know a lot of really talented YouTube tradespeople who know their tools. And this month, Rob Robillard from Toolbox Buzz will be filling in the next shelf with $2,000 worth of his favorite tools. Rob will be on the show for the next 3 weeks, each time adding a new tool to the shelf and telling us why he picked them. We'll also be adding a bunch of Spyder bits and blades to make sure that you have pro accessories to go with all those new pro tools.
So be sure to join us each Friday for that. It would be way easier to remember if you subscribed and click that notification bell.
Hey, speaking of, did you find Jay's head? It's the weirdest question ever. If you did, be sure to note the timestamp and then send us an email at first@coptool.com within the first 60 minutes of our show going live, and we'll randomly pick a winner to get a $50 gift card to Ohio Power Tool.
I want to thank Ego and Ohio Power Tool for sponsoring this episode. Guys, we couldn't do this without you.
I also want to thank Amy Poehler for watching, just in case, because she loves tools, so that'd be pretty cool.
That's happening, yeah.
If you can, do something kind for someone else this weekend, and we'll see you next week.